are now listening to Tribbles and Ecstasy, a production of Holosuite Media. Tune in to our live show every Friday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
This is Admiral James T. Kirk of Federation Starship Enterprise. Your presence here is an act of war. You have 2 minutes to surrender your crew and your vessel, or we will destroy you.
Admiral Kirk, this is your opponent speaking. Do not lecture me on treaty violations, as this broadcast is intended for mature audiences. In the following podcast, there will be thoughts and opinions expressed that in no way reflect your Federation, this station, website, or affiliated partners.
Who is this? How dare you?
Who I am is not important. Listener discretion is.
You Klingon bastard.
Space, the final frontier. These are the voyagers of Starship Tribbles. Her ongoing mission to explore strange new worlds, to seek out new content and new stuff, to follow the girl where no podcast has come before.
Another night of Tribbles and Ecstasy. Hey, 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 hey! Hey, 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 hey!
Hello and welcome to episode 175 of Tribbles and Ecstasy. I'm your host Midnight Shadow, and with me today is Skipper.
Hello, everyone.
We have Woody.
G'day, everyone.
And we have Sunseal.
Hello, sweeties.
So, not much has been released this week, but we still have some news to talk about. First of all, we had a nice a nice tweet from Zeronius Rex, saying that she enjoyed the crossover episode and liked all the speculation. Well, we're very good at speculating what's going to come next.
We're here to give the devs a good laugh.
Or to make them go, whoa, whoa, they've already figured stuff out?
Z, this is the point where you're supposed to laugh.
Well, for anybody who wants to join me, I'm currently in game, dancing on top of the resort in Instance 3 of Riser, so you can come and join me.
I have to buy a floater.
I'm just right outside, so I'll be there in a sec.
Now, first of all, we have a blog that's come out, which was Tales of War number 12. Now, this was featuring Nog, who we recently met in the most recent featured episode. And it's another one of the roleplay blogs. And it features 7 of 9 and some other people that I think I recognise the names of. But it's all about making a new ship. And about getting it to work. Now, of course, if anybody remembers Deep Space Nine, you'll remember there were some similar problems to getting, the Defiant actually working because it was too powerful for itself.
It would fly itself apart.
Exactly. Now, this made me start wondering. Now, if you follow the IQ fleet, they like to do some game leaks. They sort of take apart bits that come out through the patches and that from Tribble, and they got some interesting images that they tweeted several days ago. One was of what looked like to be a Tier 6 Defiant, and one was of a Tier 6 Krenim Dreadnought. Now, of course, that's not the only ships that we've recently seen. Today, Star Trek Online, in fact, has actually tweeted an image of the what could be a Tier 6 Excelsior. Did you guys see that?
Yeah, I saw it, and I know a lot of people's first thought was, ooh. My first thought was, this is just going to be more fuel for the Connie fire. Considering,
we're not going to get a new Connie?
Well, of course not, because wasn't CBS's whole thing no Tier 5 Constitution class? I mean, and why would that even let up for a Tier 6? Why would they, But at this point, I understand that people are going to expect the Tier 6 version of an Excelsior class, but guys, you kind of should have left it alone. The only reason, aside from the reality of using the model over and over and over again, the only reason the Excelsior is even a thing is because it was quote-unquote the Admiral ship for forever, because so many people were used to it.
Well, we don't know that it is an Excelsior, although it's got the body of it. That could just be one of the options. So we still don't know what exactly this ship is.
Let's make everything perfectly clear. It's not said this is a Tier 5 Excelsior class, but it pretty much looks like a Tier 6 Excelsior class. Everything about it screams Excelsior.
So, I
Well,
guess we'll have to wait.
If it is, I'm definitely going to be buying
it. Woody's gonna get a ship upgrade. Hey!
Yeah,
Finally
I'll
get
make
rid of
I'll
your
make a
little rust
backstory
bucket.
that I've done my 5-year mission and going to spend 2 years in dry dock to do upgrades on it and stuff like that. And some big Iconian threats coming through, and I have to go save the day.
So
son of a somebody friend me on a team or something, because I can't get in. The map is full constantly.
All right, I'll go. I'll get you.
But yeah, personally, I'm hoping that this ship they're talking about is the Tier 6 Defiant. I do like the Defiant. I spent a long time flying it. I haven't flown it since the...
I can't give you the team because I'm on my Klingon.
Oh. Well, it's not the Defiant. I guarantee it's not the Defiant.
Well, given the image that's just been released, I tend to agree. It looks like it's a slim chance of that being the next ship that's coming out.
Everything about the dev blog and what we've seen in the last featured episode is leading to us actually working on building Anarax's time ship.
Yeah. So hopefully we won't have to wait too long to actually find out what's going on.
Now, if it's something like we all get for free, hey, that's cool. If it's like something that we get built for a mission and then comes in a lockbox, guess what people are going to be doing? Buying lockboxes.
Well, if it comes in a mission, it doesn't tend to come in a lockbox. It tends to come in the C-store.
No,
I'm just hoping there's a fleet variant, because I'll probably go for that more than something off the C-store.
But yeah, I suppose as always we'll just have to wait until we get some more information. Yeah, fingers crossed.
I'll just sit here and watch this space.
Yeah.
Fingers crossed, praying, sacrificing the gods. I don't know, something to get to make sure it's an Excelsior Tier 6.
Well, talking about Lobby, there was a post titled Last Chance Lockbox Event. So the in-game boxes are all going to drop as of July 16th. So this is when all the old ones come back, and it's basically the last sort of week of the lockbox that's currently there. So that's been able to get the Zindi terrestrial lockbox. So yeah, if you want a chance to win that, then you haven't got much longer. Now, usually when they retire these things, usually indicates that it's time for the next update. So I think there was one time where they retired it a week after the update. So as the 16th is this coming Thursday, I'm hoping that 10.5 will come then. But it depends whether everything is sort of in a decent state to go out, because they have proven before that if things aren't ready, then it won't go out. So it might be the week after. But the fact that we've had all this stuff on Tribble, and sort of we've got this last chance lockbox event, hopefully in the next 2 weeks we might actually get 10.5 coming out.
Yeah, well, it's pretty much going by history, where usually when you get all the lockboxes available or dropping, that it needs to be a new season coming out with a new lockbox, so it's not terribly far away.
Yeah. Well, talking about 10.5, we did have Borticus post on the official thread for the Fleet Armada system when it comes to the Tribble feedback, because a lot of people were sort of asking some questions, so I'll just quickly go through those. So some people were asking, how is the Fleet Armada level determined? So they said every holding in your fleet possesses a worth of 1 Armada level, which means getting a tier 4 shipyard is 4 levels on its own, which will be 4 Armada levels. And basically, the max fleet Armada level is a total of, I think it was 728. Basically, a starbase is 20 levels, an embassy is 9, and 9 levels is also the same for Dilithium Mine and the Spire, and for the new research lab that we discussed last week. So for each fleet you get a total of 56, and of course in an Armada you can actually have 13 fleets in total, which then totals the 728. And each of these levels will determine your discount level. So for tier 1, it would start, the Alpha fleet gets a 1% bonus, Beta fleets get 0.5%, and Gamma's 0.25% for your skill points. And for Dilithium, it's the opposite way around. Alpha fleet is 0.25%, Beta is still 0.5%, and Gamma's are 1%. Of course, they do make a note saying that all this information is subject to change.
Yeah, there was a post later on that said, I mean, it was the equivalent of a dev table flip. Just like, well, we ran the numbers again, and we started talking about, screw it, we're gonna change it all.
Yeah, they might still do. But yeah, a lot of people have been saying, what, only 1%, and so we should be at least getting 100%. I saw somewhere, and it's just like, seriously, we only get those on very special events. Why would we ever get a bonus of 100% for something like that?
5% would be a bit more reasonable than just 1%. I'll be happy with that.
Well, no. Remember this. The numbers that were given to us were an example of the first tier of discount, or the first tier of discount for projects as well.
Well, not just that.
It wasn't like the full total at the end.
Well, it's not just that. These discounts, they also stack. So this is on top of what you get for your Dilithium Mine.
Yep.
So people are forgetting that as well.
It's going to be rather interesting when the Armada system comes out. How many people will be, and I know we talked about this the other day, but it's probably going to happen. People actually selling slots for an Armada.
Yeah, if people do start doing that, just talk around with people, because there'll be people who are just looking and they're not looking to sell them on. Unfortunately, you've got these people who are just out to try and make extra EC, and it's a shame. Sort of it's one of the reasons why you get these public service chat channels, and one of the rules are you don't sell stuff. If you're going to be available to let people into your holding, then you're just helping people out. You're not trying to make energy credits from it, which I think's good. It's a nice way. It creates a nice community rather than saying, "Oh yeah, we'll invite you into this Armada, but you've got to give us 50 million energy credits first." Sort of. The Armada's supposed to help fleets in both directions, not just one. Sort of people with the big fleets that have maxed out, they can then donate to get extra fleet credits themselves. People who are struggling with the smaller fleets, they can get that help. So, yeah, I know it's going to happen, but it's a shame that that's the case.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be something we have to keep an eye on when it's released. But speaking of things coming out, has anybody else noticed that nobody can kind of play the featured episode?
I haven't actually tried this week.
Yeah,
I've noticed that.
Yeah, you can't play the featured episode this week. It's grayed out. And it's not been moved to the Iconian War either, so you can't play it that way.
Having a look at the moment.
Unless they, fixed it in the last 6 hours.
Well, I suppose it's no longer technically a featured episode because that finished when the patch on Thursday.
I understand, but it's
it's probably a time delay thing that it was switched off, but whichever moved it from one place to another probably hasn't been done.
So Thursday.
Well, they might fix it that bit before then. That bit's probably not going to be.
Well, no, if they're implementing season 10.5,
Yeah,
it's probably going to happen Tuesday.
I've noticed yesterday there was all grayed out, and it's still in the time zone where it's supposed to have ended. According to the calendar and stuff like that, it's supposed to end. Jeez, what's it, 7.5 hours ago? So, yeah, I don't know what's going on there.
Well, hopefully somebody will get that fixed relatively quickly. Yeah, I must admit I hadn't actually tried because now the extra promotion's gone. I wasn't going to play it again just yet. So I've sort of been in just doing my dailies and leveling up one of my other characters.
Yeah, because it was actually a bit weird because I played it finally with one of my other characters, and it actually had the weekly bonus where you can get the choice of a specialization token or a upgrade token, and and it was well before the 7 days. It was only like 5 days or something like that. So I find that was a bit weird.
Well, no, see, on week 2, there was actually a bug that occurred with the reward system, and it was people who were actually being locked out over a week, but until they could get the next reward. So they actually fixed it. I think it was on Tuesday or Wednesday, and said the people who didn't get week 2's rewards, run it now, and you should be able to, because you should be able to get the reward, and then come Thursday, the third week reward unlocks for everybody. But since I wasn't part of that particular bug, I don't know how it all went down.
Yeah, I didn't get the bug either. Yeah, hopefully people will be able to play it very soon. But if we hear anything, we will let you know. Podcast. One of the other things to come out was again from Borticus, which is Jeremy Randall. He said compare the new damage in terms of used by players. If existing buffs are Cat 1, 2, etc., damage was moved to Cat Infinity after all else. So I think this is to do with the revamp of the damage mod on your weapons. Now, I know before I found out more about sort of the crit D and the crit H to sort of boost your crit chance and your crit severity. It was always the damage one that I always went for when it came to mods, but I learned they weren't as effective. So I have heard rumours about the damage mod being slightly reworked, but I'm not a proper min-maxer, though I always try and get the best I can and sort of try and learn what I can when I can.
Well, just skimming over what was said, it looks as though damage mods will be adding kind of their own version of the pirate trait, which is to say they'll be adding a damage amplification at the end of all damage. So you'll fire all your weapons, and at the end of all that weapon's damage, whatever damage bonuses you have on those weapons will add to the total at the end.
Okay. Well, when he says Cat 1 and Cat 2 to Cat Infinity, I'm assuming, because I had a quick look around and there's an article on the Stowe Builds Reddit, which mentions Category 1 and Category 2, as well as Categories 1.5, 3, 4, and so on. So I'm presuming that the Cat 1 and 2 that's mentioned is actually related to these categories. So, as I said, I'm not a min-maxer, so maybe somebody who knows a lot more about these things can let us know. Or even Jeremy. If you'd like to talk about it, happy to have you on the show to tell people more about it.
Psst, psst, we want more devs on the show.
But he did tweet shortly after.
Well, I know that this week's or this upcoming episode of Priority One's going to have Captain Gecko on the show, so
yeah, they've got part 2 of the interview, which started on last week's episode.
Okay, I didn't get to listen to last week's episode. I need to listen to it then, hey?
Yeah, they had an interview with him, and they said part 2 will be this week coming. So, yeah, head over to priority1podcast.com and you can download that there.
I'll be worth putting in the show notes.
Now, as I sort of was about to say, Jeremy did tweet another tweet which did say that on Tribble now /soon, the modifications on how the bonus from a damage mod is calculated should be there. So, yeah, that was dated 3 days ago. So hopefully they're actually sort of on Tribble now. So if you are somebody who likes to do sort of min-maxing and would like to look into this new damage mod, then yeah, copy your character over and head over to Tribble and let us know what you think. Now, Now, Zeronius Rex has been tweeting some Foundry news. Earlier on, she tweeted a picture of 2D previews that are working, although that's just working internally. So it won't be going live for a little bit because it needs more testing. Did you get to see that at all, Woody?
No, I haven't yet.
So yeah, hopefully that'll make things a little bit easier for people to do stuff within the Foundry for the maps. So yeah, hopefully we'll hear more about that. Foundry spotlights have now been refeatured again by Zeronius Rex. So she said that they're all refeatured, apart from Spawn of Medusa. That hasn't actually been published, so as it has been republished, it cannot be re-spotlighted. So I know people from starbaseugc.com, those guys are going to reach out to the author to try and get that one republished soon. But she does say that if anybody finds anything that is missing, to let her know. So yeah, that's good. So have you got anything in the Foundry spotlight, Woody?
No, I'm not that good.
Well, this week's release notes were very thin. It just said general stability improvements. So of course, a lot of people hit the forums going so much for stability when it came to the outage that occurred yesterday. So it looks like there's some sort of networking problem by the looks of things. But it didn't just affect Star Trek Online, I think. I think that affected multiple games. So, but I'm not 100% positive on that aspect of it.
Honestly, I don't know either because I wasn't here yesterday.
Yeah, I got kicked out. I was like, no.
Now, see, a lot of people have been complaining that there's been a lot more lag, a lot more server disconnects, and just a few other really weird quirks since the patch.
As in the recent patch, because yeah, I got 7 not responding to DC twice yesterday.
Yeah, I got kicked out a couple of times, and well, today I didn't notice any lag yesterday, but today I actually noticed some. On my new character is trying to run through the academy and kept rubber banding and finding itself sort of stuck behind walls because it ended up going back on itself, going through a wall. So it's just like, no, don't do that.
See, I remember being able to do that with a Dyson Destroyer and Sector Space Walls. You just do the little singularity or warp core jump and jump 2 light years, and suddenly you're on the other side of what used to be a wall. Of course, you kind of can't do that now because space is huge.
Indeed. Now, that's really it for Star Trek Online news. So really, we're just waiting on 10.5 to roll out on the new ships. Have any of you guys actually been on Tribble to have a look at the Armada system at all?
Not really,
no. Starting to get a little bit talking about it with the Caspian leaders and stuff like that. In a couple of weeks' time, we're going to sit down and have a chat about it and see how we're going to go about this and whatnot.
Yeah.
But other than that, I haven't really seen anything on it.
Well, we were discussing this before the show, and I said, yeah, those well-established fleets who might not quite yet have Tier 5 everything, but are really, really close, but are established, names. They're definitely going to want to be alphas, but at the same time, you're going to have to make sure you're not catering to the people within your fleet who literally just want to dock, an alternate character's bank fleet thing. You want to make sure you're actually going out and finding those little people fleets, because that's the only way that system is going to advance, and you're actually going to get more people that say, hey, these people are all right.
Well, you probably find that there'll be a whole heap of like these little fleets compared to these big ones. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if it's like 3 small fleets to 1 big fleet. But also we just got to figure out are they doing it for the right, well, not so much doing it for the right reasons, but doing it for, out of spite or things, because well, put in simple words, I don't want to exactly be an alpha fleet and start dictating terms of how you're supposed to be running things and stuff like that. I'm just a bit cautious with that. It's, not every fleet is same fleet. It's pretty much the same with different countries have different ways of doing things and stuff like that, different constitutions. But so it's certainly a good sit down discussion, a bit of a round table discussion there on how we're actually going to approach this in a big way. I suppose wouldn't be certainly probably recommend that we don't exactly race into this in a hurry to get it in place.
Well, I don't think people putting banking fleets will not work. It will, because it means that for a big fleet, there's plenty of opportunity for people to donate, because in those smaller fleets, there'll be nobody grabbing up sort of the credits, basically. So there'll be a lot more chance for people to donate. So I think it will still work, but it reduces being able to be more social with other fleets. So I think it would reduce that.
That's my issue. Is sure, you could dock somebody's banking fleet and then literally just start filling it out to tier 5, just because there's all that fleet credit to be made out of it. But at the same time, you do that, and that's great. You're kind of shoving out all these other fleets that have worked since day 1 of the fleet system to get to where they are, and at this point you're kind of saying, no, we have an alt character we're doing this for, come by again in a couple of months when we finish that. And it's like, well, what good, and I'm just using an example. I'm not making any claims or anything, but it's having that happen would cause this ire where somebody goes, well, what good is the priority 1 fleet armada if they won't accept actual fleets, and they want banking alts instead?
Well, there's plenty of spots, so there's no reason why it couldn't be a mix. But there are different fleets that do different things. For example, the Priority 1 fleet, or even the Tribbles fleet, they are more social, so they wouldn't want to have banking fleets. Or it could just be that, say for example, the Reddit fleet, they already have several fleets. So they may want to just connect all of them up to use the Armada chat channel. So they will have the alpha and the betas and some of the gammas as those ones, and then rotate out some other gammas possibly. So different fleets will of course work in different ways depending on how they are structured and what they like to do. There are plenty of fleets out there that just like being on their own. They're not interested in sort of all this, but they may have, say they're to do with role playing, they could have a Romulan only faction, which is Federation aligned, the Romulan one that's KDF aligned, so they may want to join those up in their own little armada themselves. Or if that fleet does get big enough, but they still don't want to play with others because they're specifically role-playing, they may choose to sort of not take on these other fleets which aren't sort of doing the role-playing themselves. So that way the Armada chat is actually role-play 100%, for example. So there are plenty of fleets out there, and I don't think it's going to be an issue people finding them. So just like people do if they're looking for a fleet, there's going to be chat channels set up, there'll be the forums, there's going to be loads of places people can go saying, we're a small fleet, we're looking to progress, we don't have the numbers, we're looking to be a beta or gamma fleet, so people can help gain credit. So people can just say, we're looking to do this, this, and this. Who's available to team up with?
Yeah, the other thing too, people got to consider, just had to readjust my fingers to press the control button to talk. The other thing you just got to realize too, I'm using Caspian as a example. Caspian is not exactly very, very active. Yes, we are a large fleet. We've got a mixture of just the Fed side alone. We've got a mixture of like 425 characters in the fleet. Majority of them probably will be alts as well. And I've usually find with these, just this year alone, Caspian has been not exactly very, very active. We're mostly seeing out that our fleet holdings to date and stuff like that, and people just not seem to be very active on in Caspian these days. So, because of real life or just other interests in other games and MMOs. So people might be racing to Caspian to give them a hand and stuff like that, but it might be disappointing because we just not seem to be a very active fleet at the moment. It might change as some Armada might come along, but I don't know what everyone's positions are at the moment with real life or other MMOs, or just the simple fact that they just want to get off the computer a bit more often or something like that. So,
but then one of the reasons why people may not be so active could actually be because they're wanting to gain fleet credit but can't. Or say you're only wanting to line up a project if people are able to donate sort of at least 50% of it at one time. Other than that, they'll have to wait until somebody else can. That they think, oh, well, I'm not going to bother. But if they know there's going to be more chance to do that because they'll be helping smaller fleets, you may get these people coming back in game and actually working to get the fleet credit to get these extra ships. So you never know.
Yeah, well, it's a bit like Cryptic does with all their things, where they just wait for it gets implemented and wait for the facts and figures to see if it's actually working or not. So it's pretty much the same with Caspian. So
well, it's going to be the same with every fleet. At the end of the day, you're going to try something, see if it works. If it doesn't, you sort of try something else. Oracle in the chat says the fleet they're in appears to be non-existent at the moment. And sort of, well, I'm part of 27 fleets, and there are some where I can go in and there's loads of people in there.
Guys,
all the time.
Write that down for the next raffle thing. 27 fleets. There you go.
It will probably change next week as well. I'll probably have another one. I've still got plenty of characters that aren't in one.
But yeah, I mean, with 6 fleet, the fleet that I'm a fleet leader with, we've worked from the ground up to get as far as we have, and we're still nowhere near like tier 5 anything. The only thing we have maxed out is uh, the dilithium mine, and that's because we pushed so hard while the members were active to at least get that done because of all the reduction, the cost reduction it would give us for other holdings. Now with this Armada system, if we finally actually get, if we finally actually get into, a beta or gamma position, we can have other people helping us out tremendously, and that may actually spark a bunch of, uh, our fleet members to actually come back because they have access to a whole bunch of stuff that they didn't quite have access to before.
Yeah. But well, I contacted Woody and some of the other fleet animals of Caspian and said, well, I've got 2 family fleets, one Fed, one KDF, and I've also got a banking fleet, that if, say, one of their betas were looking to have a gamma fleet, but they didn't know who to go and they just wanted somebody for fleet credit, well, I said, I've got fleets that can sort of go in. And now, of course, at the moment, because the cooldown times aren't actually put into Tribble, we don't know how that's going to work with the cooldowns. But I do know that if you had an arrangement like that, so say, for example, with me, there is a beta fleet, which, of course, Caspian have control over their beta fleet, so if they were an alpha, but they don't have control over who goes in as the gammas. So if they're saying, well, we'd like to get some gammas, we don't know who, we just want to get some credits, there's not much in the way in the alpha fleet, because of course Caspian's all maxed out, then those guys could just let me know when I could get an invite and I could be a gamma fleet for a little while. Because it's a way that it could just be lined up, and then of course I can remove my fleet nice and quickly if they get somebody that wants to have a fleet in there to be social. So there's going to be people who are...
I understand. It's just, I'm poking fun, Midnight. I apologize.
That's quite all right. People do that to me all the time.
We also interrupt you a lot.
That's not a problem at all. It's always good for people not to just hear me.
Well, yeah, there's this whole monotony thing that a lot of people talk about because you talk like this a lot and it puts them to sleep. Yep, but moving on.
Yep, moving on. So that's really it for Star Trek Online. Star Trek news, as we said last week, a lot of the Kickstarters that we had been giving people updates on are now complete. So Captain Pike, they're funded. They got 59,000. Target was 50,000. Star Trek New Voyages Phase 2, they're funded with 50,000. Star Trek Anthology, they've had some news. The creators of the Starship Challenger are going to hold a panel in September, September 4th and 5th, where they're going to be at Recon Dagora? Or he just butchered the...
I'm sorry, when I skimmed over that, I thought it said Trek on Dagobah, and it's like, wait, what?
Yeah, it's not quite sure how to pronounce it, because it's all just joined into one. But yeah, if you would like to join them with their panel.
Oh, okay, I get it. It's Ticonderoga. Apparently, it's going to take place in Ticonderoga somewhere.
Okay, so the K's basically being used twice. So yeah, they will be holding a panel on September 4th and 5th if you'd like to take a look and ask your questions, because they'll be doing a Q&A. We've also had some news out regarding a Star Trek communicator actually being usable. Yes, Skipper, you were good enough to put the link in. I knew there was something else that I was going to put into the show notes, but I couldn't think what it was earlier. So yeah, whereas people have sort of settled for props and replicas beforehand, somebody has actually now created a proper communicator, which is going to be Bluetooth. So people will very soon be able to use their own communicator to actually talk to everybody else with.
Why have a piece in your ear when you could literally have the TOS communicator?
Exactly. So yeah, it's gonna be about $150, I believe. So yeah, that's gonna get an awful lot of people interested in that one.
I take it that's $150 US.
Yeah. So yeah, it looks like a nice little stand as well for charging. I noticed from the photo.
Yeah, well, you definitely need one of those.
So yeah, it looks really quite cool. Though I prefer just the little Bluetooth in my ear personally.
I wonder if it actually works on Skype, where someone's trying to call you on Skype and you just pull out your communicator, flip the lid, and you're able to talk to people on Skype.
That'd be quite good.
Oh, okay. This is going in the show notes. The Perth Mint, the coinery that released the TOS Enterprise coin.
Oh yeah.
They've just recently released the Deep Space Nine coin, complete with Captain Sisko.
Okay, that's good. So, do you say they've just released it, or they're going to release it?
I honestly, I need to read the article.
Copy that into the live stream chat for people to take a look at.
But yeah, I guarantee you, it's it's going to come with the little collector's case thing that looks like the doors for DS9 in kind of the Cardassian doors, kind of folding back in a way.
Okay. Yeah, I'm just having a look at the pictures from StarTrek.com. That does look really nice. So I had noticed that the trademark and copyright are dated 2014. Which seems weird for something that's being released all now in July.
Well, no, this would make complete sense. The marketing for this, the marketing pitch to run this was probably made last year, so all of this stuff would have had to have been dated last year.
Very, very true.
The actual run of the coins being made would, finally be released right around now.
Yeah, you're right. But yeah, the link will be in our show notes. Well, that's it for this week. A short show.
I got a Foundry mission.
Yep, that's right. Nearly missed that. Sorry about that, Woody. So which mission
you will
did you?
be. You will be.
This did turn into Star Wars. What the?
So, Woody, do you want to tell us about the mission?
Yep. It's called The Darkness Between the Stars by Ma Hawkman, not Mark Hawkman. Its starting point is at the Brescia 1 planet at the Brishar system, just north of the Sol system. The Federation is detected weak signals coming from a ship floating through deep space. The signal doesn't match any known race, and you are sent to investigate. Now, it's not exactly a very heavy combat mission. It's only got 2 ships to knock off, and that's it. It's mostly quite a lot of running around, dialogue boxes, and scanning things. But it's a very well presented mission, I must admit. It involves exploring through black matter, which is something I haven't seen in game yet so far. So it's certainly a bit of an original approach to this Foundry mission. So it is quite good, especially if you want something that's not sort of like combat heavy or anything like that. It's quite a good mission there. So, but the only real bad thing is there is grammar and spelling mistakes. There's sort of like you enter one map, and with all the requests that's got given to do things, you'll see it all there that it's all in lower casing. It doesn't start off with a capital letter, but you move over to the next map and everything will be set up on capital letters and stuff like that. There was only one spelling mistake I saw, but with my spelling and grammar, I probably missed a whole heap of things as well. So you probably would expect something like that through the mission, just to give a heads up. But all in all, it is a good mission with a good outcome. Even though it did feel it finishes rather abruptly, it didn't seem to have a good conclusion to the end of this. But it's a good thing to play at the end of the day. So yeah, so definitely give it a try. I gave it 4 stars. It's again called The Darkness Between the Stars by Mark Hawkman. So,
yeah, so that's not Mark Hawkman who joined us with our podcast mashup last week.
Yes, well, if you heard him last week about how bad his grammar is and stuff like that, you probably tell that this ain't his mission. So.
Okay, now did you find this mission just by doing a search, or did you do one of the top 3, or?
Yeah, I did one of the top 3. I did it late last night before I went to bed because I went, oh crap, I got to do a Foundry mission. And so I did a bit of flight around with my Romulan and found this particular mission just north of the Sol system. So I was thinking, oh, that sounds like an interesting mission. So I went and played that. So.
How long was your playtime for this mission?
About 30 minutes.
Okay, so it will qualify for the Foundry Awards. That's good.
Yeah, it was quite good with lithium reward for completing it. Gave a little bit over 1,000 dilithium, and so yeah.
Okay, excellent. Well, that's it for this week. News just out is the weekly recap, which Laughing Trendy has just released. So if you're wanting to have a look at any of the blogs that have come out recently, or want to have a look at any of the podcasts, including our own, then yeah, head over to artgames.com and have a look there, and you'll find a list of information and links about what they're sort of looking at and reading from Cryptic Studios themselves for both Neverwinter and Star Trek Online. So, yep, that's it for this week. Thank you everybody for joining us, and we will catch you at the usual time at 7 PM Eastern next week. If you want to listen to us during the week, we are syndicated on Subspace Radio and Trek Radio. on Wednesdays. That's trekradio.net and subspace-radio.net. And you can find us on all the social media channels. You can find us on Twitter, on StarTrekRiser.com and Facebook, using the username Tribbles in Ecstasy. And you can get us on Reddit with Tribbles in Ecstasy in full, or one word. And just do a search for Tribbles in Ecstasy on Google+. And you can always get in contact with us with any feedback or suggestions. We'd love to hear from you. So until next week, goodbye everyone.
Later.
Peace and long life.
Later.
Thanks for tuning in to tonight's broadcast of Tribbles in Ecstasy, a production of Holosuite Media. Tune in to our live show every Friday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Be sure to check Holosuite Media, iTunes, and Stitcher Satellite Radio for our remastered shows and more. You can follow us on Twitter at TribblesInXTC, or if you have any questions or comments, please send an email to tribblesinecstasy@gmail.com. Join us next week for another episode of Tribbles in Ecstasy, the only place where Tribbles and Klingons are friends.